The orange glow of torches cuts through the darkness like angry eyes. 50 townspeople march down Front Street, their boots thundering against the wooden planks. At their head walks Marshal Wyatt Crenshaw, a tall man with cold gray eyes and a badge that gleams like a weapon in the firelight. "She's brought nothing but death to this town," Crenshaw's voice booms over the crowd. "First the Henderson boy, then the cattle plague, now the church fire. How much more will you tolerate?" The mob roars in agreement, pitchforks and rifles raised high. They surge toward a small shack at the town's edge, where a 12-year-old girl with piercing blue eyes cowers behind a broken door. Evelyn Harper presses herself against the wall, her small frame trembling. Through the cracks, she sees the approaching flames and hears the angry voices calling for her blood. "Devil's daughter! Cursed child! She's brought the plague upon us!" Suddenly, the door explodes inward. Rough hands grab Evelyn, dragging her into the street. She screams, but her voice is lost in the mob's fury. "Please, I didn't do anything," she cries, tears streaming down her dirt-stained face. Crenshaw steps forward, his hand resting on his gun. "The evidence speaks for itself, child. Everywhere you go, death follows." Just as a noose appears in someone's hands, the sharp crack of a rifle splits the night air. The crowd freezes. From the shadows emerges Silas Boone, a weathered cowboy in his mid-40s, his dark eyes blazing with determination. His Winchester rifle is aimed directly at Crenshaw's chest. "Let the girl go," Silas says, his voice steady as steel. Crenshaw's lips curl into a sneer. "Well, well, if it isn't the drifter, this ain't your fight, Boone." "It is now." Silas steps closer, never lowering his weapon. "I said let her go." The tension is electric, 50 against 1. The odds couldn't be worse. "You're making a mistake, cowboy," Crenshaw warns. "This child is cursed. She'll bring you nothing but—" "The only curse I see here is ignorance," Silas interrupts. "Now step away from the girl, or I'll put a bullet between your eyes." For a moment, nobody moves. Then Crenshaw slowly raises his hands, signaling his men to back down. "This isn't over, Boone. Mark my words." Silas helps Evelyn to her feet, his large hand gentle on her shoulder. "Can you ride?" She nods, still shaking. "Then we're leaving. Now." As they disappear into the night on Silas's horse, the camera pulls back to reveal the full scope of the hatred they're fleeing from. But how did it come to this? What drove an entire town to hunt a child? Fade to black title card, 3 weeks earlier. Flashback, Dodge City, July 25th, 1886, dawn. The sun rises over Dodge City, painting the dusty streets gold. It's a town built on cattle drives and frontier justice, where the law is often decided by whoever draws fastest. Silas Boone rides into town on his black stallion, Thunder. He's a man who's seen too much of the world's cruelty, his face weathered by sun and sorrow. His saddlebags carry everything he owns, which isn't much. He dismounts at Murphy's Saloon, the town's main watering hole. Inside, the morning crowd nurses their whiskey and discusses the day's business. "Heard tell there's work at the Thornfield Ranch," says old Pete, the bartender, as he slides Silas a shot of rye. "They're looking for hands to drive cattle to Abilene." Silas nods, downing his drink. Much obliged. As he turns to leave, a commotion erupts outside. Through the window, he sees a small figure running down the street, pursued by a group of children throwing rocks. "Get away from us, devil girl! Your evil eye cursed my pa's horse." "Freak!" The girl, Evelyn, stumbles and falls. The children close in, their young faces twisted with learned hatred. Silas pushes through the saloon doors. "That's enough!" His commanding voice stops the children in their tracks. They scatter like leaves in the wind, leaving Evelyn alone in the dust. Silas approaches slowly, his hands visible and non-threatening. "You hurt, miss?" Evelyn looks up at him with those startling blue eyes that seem far too old for her young face. "I'm fine, mister. I'm used to it." The resignation in her voice hits Silas like a punch to the gut. He's heard that tone before, in his own voice years ago. "What's your name, child?" "Evelyn Harper. But most folks just call me—" She hesitates. "Other things." Silas kneels down to her level. Well, Evelyn Harper, I'm Silas Boone, and I think those children need to learn some manners. For the first time, Evelyn almost smiles. You're not from here, are you? No, ma'am. Just passing through. Good, she says, standing and brushing off her tattered dress. Folks who stay here too long, they start to believe the stories. Before Silas can ask what she means, Evelyn hurries away, disappearing into an alley between the general store and the blacksmith shop. Silas watches her go, something stirring in his chest, a feeling he thought he'd buried long ago. Compassion. Later that day, Thornfield Ranch. Jacob Thornfield is a prosperous rancher with kind eyes and calloused hands. His spread covers thousands of acres, and his cattle are some of the finest in Kansas. You come highly recommended, Boone, Thornfield says as they walk among the grazing herds. Word is you're one of the best trail bosses this side of the Mississippi. Silas adjusts his hat against the sun. I do my job, Mr. Thornfield. Nothing more, nothing less. That's all I ask. We've got 2,000 head that need to reach Abilene before the autumn rains. Can you handle it? Yes, sir. As they shake hands, Thornfield's expression grows serious. There's something else you should know about this town, Boone. There's been troubles lately. What kind of troubles? Strange accidents, livestock dying for no reason, fires starting on their own. And it all seems to center around one person. Silas already knows where this is heading. The Harper girl. Thornfield nods grimly. I don't believe in curses myself, but the townspeople, they're scared. And scared people do dangerous things. What happened to her family? Parents died of fever 2 years ago. She's been living on charity ever since, but that charity's running thin. Marshal Crenshaw's been stirring up sentiment against her, claiming she's the source of all our troubles. Silas thinks of those ancient eyes in that young face. And you? What do you think? I think she's a child who's lost everything and needs help. But I'm in the minority. That evening, Silas sets up camp near the ranch's eastern boundary. As he builds his fire, he hears a rustling in the nearby brush. His hand moves instinctively to his gun. Easy there, mister. It's just me. Evelyn steps into the firelight, carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. What are you doing out here, child? It's dangerous after dark. Everywhere's dangerous for me, she says simply. But I brought you something. She unwraps the bundle, revealing fresh biscuits and a jar of honey. I wanted to thank you. For earlier, Silas gestures to a spot by the fire. Sit. You look hungry. As they share the simple meal, Evelyn begins to open up. She tells him about her parents. Her father was a school teacher, her mother a seamstress. They were good people who taught her to read and write, to see beauty in the world despite its cruelty. After they died, people started looking at me different, she explains, like I was somehow responsible. Then bad things started happening, and it was easier to blame you than face the truth, Silas finishes. Evelyn nods. You understand. More than you know. In the flickering firelight, Silas sees something of himself in this brave, broken child. He makes a decision that will change both their lives forever. Evelyn, if you ever need help, real help, you come find me, you understand? She nods, tears glistening in her eyes. Why are you being kind to me? Silas stares into the flames, remembering his own childhood. Because everyone deserves at least one person who believes in them. As Evelyn disappears back into the night, Silas doesn't know that he's just signed both their death warrants. In the shadows, Deputy Frank Morrison has been watching, and he can't wait to report back to Marshal Crenshaw. The die is cast. The countdown to that midnight confrontation has begun. Hi, how are you? Sorry to interrupt your story, but what I'm going to ask you is really quick, and it will really help the channel to grow and create new stories. Just click below the video image to subscribe. You'll be doing an act of kindness and encouragement to those who are just starting out. Thank you very much, and continue with your story. Dodge City, July 28, 1886, morning. 3 days after his encounter with Evelyn, Silas rides into town for supplies. The atmosphere has changed. Conversations stop when he passes, and suspicious glances follow his every move. At Henderson's general store, the owner, Thomas Henderson, reluctantly fills Silas's order. His movements are sharp, agitated. "Heard you've been talking to the Harper girl," Henderson says without looking up. "I've talked to lots of people," Silas replies evenly. "Not lots of people bring curses with them." Henderson slams a bag of flour onto the counter. "My boy Billy took sick right after she looked at him funny. Doctor says it might be consumption." Silas keeps his voice calm. "I'm sorry to hear about your son, but blaming a child won't cure him." Henderson's face reddens. "Easy words from a man who doesn't have to live here. You'll move on, but we're stuck with her evil." The store's bell jingles as Marshal Crenshaw enters, his spurs ringing against the wooden floor. He's a man who commands attention. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that makes people step aside. "Mr. Boone," Crenshaw says, touching the brim of his hat. "Heard you're working for Thornfield now?" "That's right." "Good man, Jacob Thornfield. Shame about his troubles lately." Silas pays for his supplies, saying nothing. Crenshaw continues. "Lost 12 head of cattle last week. Just dropped dead in the field. Strangest thing. Course, it happened right after the Harper girl was seen walking near his property. Cattle die, Marshal. It's not supernatural." Crenshaw's gray eyes narrow. "You seem mighty interested in defending her. Makes a man wonder why." The tension in the store is thick enough to cut. Henderson has stopped pretending to work, watching the exchange with nervous anticipation. "I defend anyone who can't defend themselves," Silas says. "It's called decency." "Decency?" Crenshaw laughs, but there's no humor in it. "Let me tell you about decency, Drifter. Decency is protecting your neighbors from harm. Decency is recognizing evil when you see it." Silas shoulders his supplies and heads for the door. Evil's usually a lot more obvious than a scared little girl. As he leaves, he hears Crenshaw say to Henderson, "Keep an eye on him, Thomas. Birds of a feather and all that." That evening, Silas's camp. Silas is cleaning his rifle when he hears horses approaching. 3 riders emerge from the darkness, Deputy Morrison and 2 ranch hands, Buck Cassidy and Jim Walsh. "Evening, Boone," Morrison says, his hand resting on his gun. "Mind if we have a word?" "Speak your piece." Morrison dismounts, his companion staying mounted and ready. "There's been talk about you and the Harper girl. People are concerned." "About what?" "About you interfering with town business. That girl's dangerous, and everyone knows it except you." Silas sets down his rifle, but keeps it within reach. "What I know is that you're 3 grown men afraid of a 12-year-old child." Buck Cassidy spits into the dirt. "That ain't no ordinary child. She's got the devil's mark on her." "And what mark is that?" "Them eyes," Walsh says. "Blue as winter ice. Ain't natural." Silas almost laughs. "You're going to condemn a child for the color of her eyes?" Morrison steps closer. "We're here to give you friendly advice, Boone. Stay away from the girl, for your own good. And if I don't, then you might find yourself sharing her fate." The threat hangs in the air like smoke. Silas stands slowly, his hand moving to his gun belt. "Gentlemen, I've been threatened by better men than you and lived to tell about it. I suggest you ride out of here before I lose my patience." For a moment, it looks like violence is inevitable. Then Morrison signals his men, and they mount up. "You've been warned, Boone. What happens next is on your head." As they ride away, Silas realizes the situation is escalating faster than he anticipated. He needs to learn more about what's really happening in Dodge City. The next day, Thornfield Ranch. Silas finds Jacob Thornfield in his study, poring over account books. The rancher looks up as Silas enters, his face grim. "Bad news, Boone. Lost 8 more head last night. Found them dead in the south pasture." "Any sign of what killed them?" "Nothing. No wounds, no signs of disease. They just died." Silas sits across from Thornfield. "Tell me about Marshal Crenshaw." Thornfield's expression darkens. "What do you want to know? How long has he been Marshal? Where did he come from?" "Showed up about 3 years ago with credentials from Topeka. Seemed competent enough, and we needed law enforcement." Thornfield pauses. "Why do you ask?" "Something doesn't sit right with me. This whole situation with the Harper girl. It feels orchestrated. You think Crenshaw's behind it? I think someone's benefiting from the chaos, and it's not a 12-year-old orphan." Thornfield leans back in his chair. "There have been rumors. What kind of rumors? About Crenshaw having financial interests in town properties. Word is, he's been buying up land cheap from folks who've had bad luck. Silas feels pieces of a puzzle starting to fit together. Including the Harper property? Evelyn's parents owned a nice piece of land near the river, prime real estate. After they died, Crenshaw offered to buy it from her for a fraction of its worth. She refused. And that's when the curse story started? Around that time, yes. Before Silas can respond, a commotion erupts outside. Through the window, they see smoke rising from the direction of town. "Fire!" someone shouts. They rush outside to see Dr. Samuel Mitchell riding hard toward the ranch, his horse lathered with sweat. "Jacob!" the doctor calls. "The church is burning, and they're saying the Harper girl was seen nearby." Silas and Thornfield exchange glances. They both know what this means. "Saddle up," Silas says grimly. "This is about to get ugly." Dodge City, the church fire. By the time they reach town, half of Dodge City's population has gathered around the burning church. The flames reach toward the sky like grasping fingers, and the heat is intense even from a distance. Reverend William Hayes stands watching his life's work burn, tears streaming down his soot-stained face. He's a good man who's tried to preach tolerance, but his voice has been drowned out by fear and superstition. "Where's the girl?" Crenshaw demands, his voice carrying over the crowd's murmur. "I saw her running from here just before the fire started," claims Mrs. Dorothy Whitman, the town's biggest gossip. "She had that look in her eyes, that evil look. That's a lie." Everyone turns to see Sarah Mitchell, the doctor's wife, pushing through the crowd. She's one of the few people in town who's shown Evelyn any kindness. "Evelyn was with me all afternoon," Sarah continues. "We were tending to sick children at the clinic. She couldn't have started this fire." Crenshaw's face darkens. "Are you calling Mrs. Whitman a liar?" "I'm telling the truth. Evelyn Harper is innocent." The crowd begins to murmur, divided between those who want to believe Sarah and those who are too invested in their fear to let it go. "Innocent?" Mayor Robert Kellerman steps forward, his political instincts sensing which way the wind is blowing. "How do you explain all the strange occurrences since she arrived in town?" "Coincidence," Dr. Mitchell says, joining his wife. "Bad luck happens everywhere." "Not like this," Crenshaw counters. "Not with this frequency." "Face facts, people! That girl is cursed, and she's cursing all of us!" The crowd roars its approval, fear overriding reason. Silas watches from the edge of the gathering, seeing how expertly Crenshaw manipulates their emotions. "Where is she now?" someone shouts. "Find her! Make her pay!" As the mob begins to organize, Silas slips away. He has to find Evelyn before they do. Evelyn's hiding place. Sunset. Silas finds Evelyn in an abandoned mine shaft outside town, a place she's shown him during one of their conversations. She's huddled in the darkness, her small frame shaking with fear and exhaustion. "They're coming for me, aren't they?" she asks without looking up. Silas kneels beside her. "Yes, but I'm not going to let them hurt you." "Why?" The question comes out as a whisper. "Everyone else believes I'm cursed. Why don't you?" Silas is quiet for a long moment, remembering his own childhood. "When I was about your age, my town decided I was cursed too." Evelyn looks up, surprised. "My parents died in a fire, and I was the only survivor. People said I must have made a deal with the devil. They drove me out, said I brought bad luck wherever I went. What did you do?" "I survived. I learned to depend on myself, to trust my own judgment instead of other people's fear." He meets her eyes. "And I learned that sometimes the people calling you cursed are the ones with something to hide. You think someone's doing this on purpose? I think Marshal Crenshaw knows more than he's letting on, and I think we're going to find out what." In the distance, they can hear the sound of horses and angry voices getting closer. "They're coming," Evelyn whispers. Silas checks his gun and stands. "Then it's time to make our stand." The abandoned mine. Night. The sound of approaching horses grows louder. Silas peers out from the mine entrance and counts at least 20 riders, their torches creating a river of fire in the darkness. "Stay behind me," he tells Evelyn, checking his Winchester. "No matter what happens, don't come out until I say it's safe." "Mr. Boone," Evelyn's voice is small but determined. "There's something I need to tell you. About the night my parents died." Silas turns back to her, seeing something new in her eyes, not just fear, but resolve. "They didn't die of fever," she continues. "I lied because I was scared. They were murdered." The words hit Silas like a physical blow. "What?" "I saw it happen. I was hiding in the root cellar when men came to our house. They wanted Papa to sign over our land deed, but he refused. So they—" She swallows hard. "They set the house on fire with my parents inside." "Did you recognize any of the men?" "It was dark, but I heard one of them talking. He had a voice like gravel, and he wore a badge that caught the moonlight." Silas's blood runs cold. "Crenshaw!" Before Evelyn can respond, a voice booms from outside the mine. "Boone! We know you're in there! Send out the girl, and we'll let you ride away." Silas moves to the entrance, staying in the shadows. "She's under my protection, Crenshaw. You want her, you'll have to come through me." "So be it." Gunfire erupts, bullets ricocheting off the mine's stone walls. Silas returns fire, his shots precise and deadly. 2 riders fall from their horses before the others take cover behind rocks and scrub brush. "You can't hold out forever, Boone," Crenshaw shouts. "We've got all night." Silas reloads quickly, his mind racing. 20 against 1. Even for a man of his skills, the odds are impossible. But then he remembers something Evelyn mentioned during one of their talks. "Evelyn, you said there are other tunnels in this mine?" "Yes, Papa showed them to me once. There's one that comes out near the river, about half a mile from here." "Can you find it in the dark?" "I think so." "Good. When I give the signal, you run for that tunnel. Don't look back. Don't stop for anything." "What about you?" Silas manages a grim smile. "I'll be right behind you." It's a lie, and they both know it. But sometimes, lies are kinder than truth. The escape. Silas creates a diversion, firing rapidly at the mob while Evelyn slips deeper into the mine. His ammunition is running low, but he keeps shooting, drawing their attention away from the girl's escape route. "He's running out of bullets!" someone shouts. The mob grows bolder, moving closer to the mine entrance. Silas falls back, deeper into the tunnels, leading them away from Evelyn's path. In the darkness, he hears her small footsteps echoing from a different direction. Good. She's found the other tunnel. But then disaster strikes. A section of the old mine ceiling collapses, triggered by the gunfire's vibrations. Silas finds himself trapped, cut off from both the entrance and Evelyn's escape route. Outside, the gunfire stops. Crenshaw's voice echoes through the tunnels. "Looks like the mountain made our decision for us. Boone's trapped in there like a rat." Silas explores his prison by touch, feeling along the walls for any weakness. His fingers find something unexpected, fresh air coming through a crack in the rock. With his knife, he begins chipping away at the stone, working frantically as voices grow closer. Meanwhile, Thornfield Ranch. Dr. Mitchell bursts into Jacob Thornfield's study, his face pale with urgency. "Jacob, we have to do something. Crenshaw's taken half the town to hunt down that child." Thornfield looks up from cleaning his rifle. "I know. I've been waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" "Samuel, you're one of the few people in this town with sense left. Are you willing to help me stop this madness?" Dr. Mitchell nods grimly. "What do you have in mind?" "I've been doing some investigating of my own. Crenshaw's been buying up property all over the county, always from people who've had mysterious runs of bad luck." Thornfield pulls out a folder filled with documents. "Look at this. Every property he's purchased has been at a fraction of its real value, and every seller has been desperate to leave town." Dr. Mitchell examines the papers. "This is systematic. He's been driving people out deliberately and using Evelyn as a scapegoat to cover his tracks. But I think I know how to prove it. The mine. Deeper tunnels." Silas finally breaks through the rock wall, emerging into a natural cave system. His hands are bloody from the work, but he's free. Following the air current, he makes his way toward what he hopes is another exit. Behind him, he can hear Crenshaw's men exploring the collapsed tunnels, their voices growing fainter as he moves deeper into the earth. The cave opens into a larger chamber, and moonlight filters down from above. Silas looks up to see a natural chimney leading to the surface. It's a difficult climb, but possible. As he begins his ascent, he hears something that makes his blood freeze. Evelyn's scream, coming from somewhere above. The river. Evelyn's capture. Evelyn had made it to the river tunnel exit, but her freedom was short-lived. Deputy Morrison and 2 other men were waiting for her, having anticipated her escape route. Well, well, Morrison sneers, grabbing her arm roughly. Look what crawled out of the ground! Let me go! Evelyn struggles, but she's no match for grown men. Marshal Crenshaw's going to be real pleased. He's got special plans for you, little devil. They drag her toward their horses, but Evelyn's not finished fighting. She bites Morrison's hand, drawing blood, and tries to run. He backhands her, sending her sprawling. You little hellcat! You'll pay for that! As Morrison raises his hand to strike her again, a rifle shot rings out. Morrison spins and falls, clutching his shoulder. From the tree line emerges an unexpected savior, Reverend Hayes, holding a smoking rifle with shaking hands. In the name of God, let that child go. The other 2 men draw their guns, but the Reverend's shot has attracted attention. Dr. Mitchell, Thornfield, and several ranch hands come thundering through the brush, guns drawn. It's over, boys, Thornfield says calmly. Drop your weapons. Faced with superior numbers, Morrison's men surrender. But Morrison himself, wounded and desperate, makes a grab for Evelyn. She's coming with me. Crenshaw's orders. That's when Silas emerges from the river, dripping wet and furious. His Colt .45 is in his hand, and his eyes are deadly calm. Take your hands off her. Now! Morrison looks into those cold eyes and sees his own death. He releases Evelyn and steps back. This isn't over, Boone. Crenshaw will answer for what he's done, Thornfield interrupts. We have evidence of his crimes. The revelation. As they tend to Evelyn's injuries, Dr. Mitchell explains what they've discovered. Crenshaw's been running a land fraud scheme for years. He creates cursed situations to drive down property values, then buys the land cheap through intermediaries. The cattle deaths, the fires, the accidents, Thornfield adds, they were all staged. He's been using fear and superstition to steal people's livelihoods. Reverend Hayes speaks up, his voice heavy with guilt. I should have seen it sooner. The way he always seemed to know where the next curse would strike. The way he encouraged the town's fear instead of trying to calm it. Silas kneels beside Evelyn, checking her for serious injuries. Are you hurt? She shakes her head, but her eyes are haunted. Mr. Boone, what I told you about my parents, there's more. What is it, child? Before they died, Papa hid something. Papers that prove our land belongs to us. Not just the deed, but mineral rights too. He said someday those papers might be worth more than gold. Silas and Thornfield exchange glances. Where did he hide them? In the old church bell tower. There's a loose stone behind the bell. Papa showed me in case something ever happened to him. The church that just burned down, Dr. Mitchell says grimly. Maybe not, Reverend Hayes says thoughtfully. The bell tower was stone. It might have survived the fire. Silas stands, his decision made. Then that's where we're going. But first, we need to deal with Crenshaw. In the distance, they can see torches moving toward them. The marshal and his remaining men have discovered their location. He's coming, Evelyn whispers. Let him come, Silas says, checking his guns. It's time to end this. But as the torches draw closer, Silas realizes that Crenshaw has one more card to play, and it's going to be the deadliest hand yet. The final confrontation, near the river, dawn. The first light of dawn paints the Kansas sky in shades of gold and crimson as Marshal Crenshaw approaches with his remaining men. But something has changed. The mob that followed him into the night has dwindled to just 6 loyal supporters, all men with their own dark reasons for backing his play. Silas stands protectively in front of Evelyn, his guns ready. Behind him, Thornfield, Dr. Mitchell, and Reverend Hayes form a defensive line, their weapons trained on the approaching riders. Well, well, Crenshaw calls out as he dismounts, his hand resting casually on his gun. Looks like the whole town's turned out for the show. It's over, Crenshaw, Thornfield says firmly. We know about the land fraud, the staged accidents, everything. Crenshaw laughs, but there's no humor in it. You know nothing, rancher. You have suspicions, maybe some coincidences, but no proof. We have Evelyn's testimony about her parents' murder. Dr. Mitchell interjects. The word of a cursed child against a sworn lawman? Crenshaw shakes his head. Who do you think a judge will believe? Silas steps forward, his voice deadly quiet. How about the word of a man who's seen your handiwork before? Something flickers in Crenshaw's eyes. Surprise, then recognition. I know you, Silas continues. Wyatt Crenshaw, wanted for murder in Colorado territory. You killed a family named Morrison in Denver, burned their house to cover the evidence. You're mistaken, Drifter. Am I? Because I was the one tracking you. I was a deputy marshal then, before I decided the badge wasn't worth wearing if men like you could hide behind it. The revelation hits everyone like a thunderbolt. Evelyn looks up at Silas with new understanding, while Crenshaw's face twists with rage. So that's your game? Crenshaw snarls. The great lawman, come to settle old scores. I came here by accident, Silas replies, but I'm finishing this by choice. The truth revealed. You want the truth? Crenshaw's composure finally cracks. Fine. Yes, I killed the Harper family. They were standing in the way of progress. The admission hangs in the air like smoke from a gun barrel. Even his own men look shocked. You see, there's oil under this land, Crenshaw continues, his voice rising. Black gold that'll make whoever controls it richer than any cattle baron ever dreamed, but I needed the mineral rights, and these stubborn farmers wouldn't sell. So you murdered them, Reverend Hayes says, his voice heavy with disgust. I did what was necessary, and I would have gotten away with it if this brat hadn't survived. He points at Evelyn with shaking fury. She was supposed to die in that fire with her parents. Evelyn steps out from behind Silas, her young voice carrying surprising strength. But I didn't die, and I remember everything. Your word against mine, little devil. Not just her word, says a new voice. Everyone turns to see Sarah Mitchell emerging from the trees, carrying a leather satchel. Behind her are several townspeople. Old Pete from the saloon, Thomas Henderson from the general store, and others who have finally seen through Crenshaw's lies. I went to the church ruins like Evelyn suggested, Sarah explains. The bell tower survived, and I found these hidden behind the bell. She opens the satchel, revealing a collection of documents. Land deeds, mineral rights certificates, and she pulls out a final paper. A signed confession from Evelyn's father, written the night before he died. He suspected what Crenshaw was planning and documented everything. Crenshaw's face goes white. That's impossible. James Harper was a school teacher, Sarah continues. He was thorough, methodical. He recorded every conversation, every threat, every suspicious incident. It's all here, including the names of your accomplices. Several of Crenshaw's men begin backing away, realizing their situation is hopeless. And there's more, Old Pete speaks up. I've been keeping records, too. Every time someone sold their land cheap after mysterious troubles. Every time Crenshaw happened to be in the right place at the right time. It all fits together now. The final showdown. Crenshaw looks around at the faces surrounding him. Faces that once showed him respect and fear, now filled with disgust and determination. His empire of lies is crumbling, and he knows it. You think this changes anything? He snarls. You think justice matters out here? I am the law in this town. Not anymore, Silas says simply. Crenshaw's hand moves toward his gun, but he's not fast enough. Silas's Colt clears leather like lightning, the barrel trained on Crenshaw's chest. Don't, Silas warns. You've caused enough death. For a moment, it looks like Crenshaw might surrender. Then his face twists with desperate rage, and he goes for his gun anyway. The shot echoes across the prairie like thunder. Crenshaw staggers, looking down at the spreading red stain on his shirt. His gun falls from nerveless fingers as he drops to his knees. Should have killed you. In Colorado, he gasps. Maybe, Silas replies, holstering his weapon. But you didn't. And now it's over. Crenshaw falls forward into the dust. His reign of terror finally ended. Justice and healing. Dr. Mitchell checks Crenshaw's pulse and shakes his head. He's gone. The remaining members of Crenshaw's gang surrender without a fight, their leader's death taking the fight out of them. Mayor Kellerman, who had arrived with Sarah's group, steps forward with obvious relief. Silas Boone, by the authority vested in me by the territory of Kansas, I hereby appoint you as acting marshal of Dodge City. Silas looks down at the badge Kellerman offers, then at Evelyn. Thanks, but no, I'm not a lawman anymore. Then what are you? Evelyn asks. Silas kneels down to her level, his weathered face softening. I'm whatever you need me to be, child. If you'll have me. Tears flow down Evelyn's face. Not tears of fear or sorrow, but of joy. You mean, you want to stay? I mean, I want to be your family, if you'll let me. I know I can't replace your parents, but... Evelyn throws her arms around his neck, cutting off his words. Yes, yes, I want that more than anything. Epilogue. 1 year later, Dodge City, August 1887. The town has transformed. Where once there was suspicion and fear, now there's hope and prosperity. The oil discovery brought wealth, but more importantly, the truth brought healing. Silas Boone has built a small ranch on the outskirts of town, where he raises cattle and horses. But his most important job is raising Evelyn Harper Boone, who has blossomed into a confident, happy young woman. The adoption papers were signed 6 months ago, making their family official in the eyes of the law. But in their hearts, they'd been family from that first night by the campfire. Pa, the cattle are ready for market, Evelyn calls as she rides up on her horse, Starlight, a gift from Thornfield for her 13th birthday. All ready? Silas looks up from mending fence, amazed at how quickly time passes when you're happy. Mister, Thornfield says the prices in Abilene are the best they've been in years. Silas nods, wiping sweat from his brow. Then we'd better get them ready for the drive. As they work together, Reverend Hayes rides up with news from town. Silas, Evelyn, I wanted you to be the first to know. We're breaking ground on the new school next week, and the school board has voted unanimously to name it the James and Mary Harper Memorial School. Evelyn's eyes fill with tears of joy. Really? Really? Your parents would be proud of the young woman you've become. That evening, as they sit on their porch watching the sunset, Evelyn leans against Silas's shoulder. Pa, do you ever regret staying here, giving up your wandering ways? Silas looks down at his daughter, for that's what she is now, in every way that matters, and smiles. Evelyn, I spent years running from my past, thinking I was cursed to be alone. But you taught me something important. What's that? Sometimes what looks like a curse is really a blessing in disguise. Sometimes the very thing that scares people the most is exactly what they need. Like a lonely cowboy and a girl everyone thought was cursed? Exactly like that. As the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky, they sit in comfortable silence, two souls who found each other in the darkness and chose to build a light together. In the distance, they can hear the sounds of Dodge City settling in for the night, a town that learned the difference between fear and faith, between suspicion and trust. And in a small house on the edge of the prairie, a family born not of blood but of choice, proves that sometimes the greatest adventures begin when you stop running and start believing in the possibility of home. Hello, how are you? Did you enjoy the story? Like, share, comment on which city you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel to help us continue adding new amazing videos. Thank you very much, and come back often.